Hello and welcome. This is the Ultimate Nova fan here. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the four major villains that are introduced and are in the book for most of the series of The Man Called Nova. Um, at some point, they deviated and went into other characters, but these were the ones that launched the book pretty much. And I took the liberty of doing screenshots of the comics that had them on the cover. There are, like I said, a couple of books that have them in the stories, but not promoted as much. So here we go. What we have here on the screen is, from left to right, is the Condor, Diamond Head, the Sphinx, Powerhouse. I also added Nova off to the side because obviously, it's the Man Called Nova. What I'll do first is, and I'll zoom in and try to just give a little bit of backstory. Very little. I don't want to try to spoil it for anybody who wants to read these books. And obviously, we're still talking about the process in which I'm creating these things and what my purpose is. So here we have issue 2, which introduces the Condor and Powerhouse. And now that we've got a little bit of taste of who Richard is from the first issue and his first hurdle as a superhero, um, we now have to go on the journey, if you will, with Rich. So let's see. Yes, this is, like I said before, issue 2. And here is my recreation of the condor. Basically, he is a scientist from a civilization of birdmen, and I guess he had a disagreement and a different viewpoint of leadership in that civilization, that group of people, bird people, and he decided that he wanted to be his own leader. So, as a scientist, obviously, he has a very intellectual mind, and in that regard, his conquest now is for I don't know if it's absolute power, but probably a lot more control and dominance, if you will. Um, as you can see, the construction of the character is just what it is: African American. Simulated the costume red with the condor on it. This character actually has wings. You can't really see it in the shot, but it's no big deal. Um, there's a moment when you're reading these books and you realize what era it's in the 70s. You find yourself, really thinking they're corny. And okay, I'll grant you that they're outdated characters by today's standards. But you go back and watch a lot of early cartoons of the 60s and 70s. I'm particularly fond of Underdog. I know that sounds goofy, but I love that cartoon, and he had a rogue gallery of villains, and the whole purpose was just world domination and control and power, and that's what they captured in the essence of the villains in these books, these Nova books. Moving on to the next character is Diamond Head, which is issue 3 here, and he's right on the cover. And he's similar in the style of a lot of those thugs and crooks and uh, guys that up to no good and uh, do petty crimes and whatnot. And I don't remember if he was part of an experiment voluntarily or he was accidentally exposed to some ray or experiment. But as a result, he acquired hard diamond-like skin, and he reminds me a little bit of the Sandman in the Spider-Man books, but I'm just using that as an example. And again, here, let's see, I keep going in and out, I apologize. So we'll just take a closer look at him in the book first. There he is, Diamond Head. And then, as you see here, he is my recreation of Diamond Head. Nothing spectacular. I had to kind of guess my way through the figuring out of how to make uh, diamond cuts in his face. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's just what it is. There's the little emblem on his chest. Um, the costume is fairly accurate to as many pictures that I could find and panels to look at. So that's about what I can say about him. Um, we move on now to the Sphinx. And here's the thing. I love this character, and I love the fact that it seemed like they paid a very close amount of attention to establishing him as a big bad. And he does have a story arc that carries over into other books in that era in the 70s and I believe early 80s. But there is a well crafted origin story. There is a great dialogue of his conquest and um, his fascination with Nova and his powers, and he really does become a good villain, the kind of villain that in today's modern uh, Marvel universe he would be excellent to bring to life. I have no doubt that they could do great things with him. Here he is in issue 11, the final confrontation, if you will, between him and Nova after all of the orchestrating that he did to try to get Nova and acquire his powers. There was a lot of behind the scenes stuff with him in the books up until this point, and now he finally confronts Nova. Um, like I said, try not to spoil too much stuff. I could just go hard and try to tell everything I can remember or know, but the beauty for me was reading the books as well and discovering all this stuff. Oh, I probably should mention just that he was supposed to be a wizard back in Egyptian time, I believe it was. Maybe even earlier than that. I believe he lost the duel against another wizard and was vanquished from his homeland or wherever the place he resided. And he came across a temple and discovered a stone, not to be confused with the Infinity Stones, but there was a stone, I believe it was called the Kai Stone, and it granted him strength and powers and immortality, but it also became a curse, and as a result, he lived thousands of years, and that's when, at one point in his lifetime, he came across Nova and was obsessed with Nova's power and how to acquire it. So again, I think he's an awesome character. I would love to see um, this type of character in the Marvel Universe. Thanos was very impressive in the way they crafted him, and I think the Sphinx could be that as well. Here we go with another issue, and this one is showcasing the villains again. The Condor, Diamond Head, the Sphinx, and this guy here, which is Powerhouse. Now, there's something very unique about Powerhouse. I'll show you right now. Here's his costume, top to bottom. Again, this is me using one character, as I've explained in the video before, and molding them and shaping them into vastly other different characters. So as you can see here is um, Powerhouse on the book, on the cover of, I want to say this is issue 10. I can't recall. I think it's 10. And there is Powerhouse leading the charge to um, capture Nova. And like I said, here's my interpretation. He has a story that is shrouded in mystery, and you have to read the books throughout and remember all the information that you've discovered about him as the book progresses to learn who Powerhouse really is as opposed to who we were told he was. We discover a lot of it through the dialogue him and the Condor um, have with one another, and it it leads to at least an attempt by the writers in the book to make everything Nova verse, the Nova verse, if you will. Now everything is a verse, a multiverse, a universe, a spider verse. So there's a Nova verse where everything was within that world explained, and in that regard, I think it's adequate. It's an adequate story, origin story, revelation, whatever you may say. Over here to the right, we have one more book that shows them. I want to say this is issue 6. So even though I'm showing them in a random order, I just want you to know that they went really all in showing these characters and creating these characters and giving Nova a whole world of his own. Yes, there are other characters that will show up and I will show them. There are even established Marvel Universe characters that show up in his book as well. Not to the degree that I was hoping, uh, and the book was short-lived, so that was also a bummer. But I can tell you that for all intents and purposes, if you accept the era in which the book was made, the goal that they set out to achieve. All in all, I have to say that there was an article in some publication back in the 70s that there was a real attempt to try to get Marvel, or at least buy Marvel, to make either a television movie or a TV series of Nova. And all I can tell you is if this was made in 76 and the book was basically canceled in 79. In that period, what you may not appreciate is that the release of Star Wars brought a rise and appreciation, a whole nother level of science fiction and space. And I believe that that might have been uh, something to do with the origin of Nova in the Marvel Universe, but also a great time to have utilized this character in another way. I mean, for God's sake, there was a Spider-Man TV show, an Incredible Hulk TV show. Was there something else that I can't think off the top of my head for Marvel? I don't recall. But the reason why I point that out is that maybe we wouldn't have got a Nova like the one we know, but there wasn't much to know. Excuse me, I'm sorry. To know about Nova at that time. So they could have just winged it, and he just would have been another guy, you know, in outer space. But I think I think there's a great potential for, in my opinion, making a Nova movie that maybe is a period piece. Maybe it doesn't. We don't do it in a modern setting because, to be honest, with so much that they've accomplished in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, um, Marvel Nova doesn't really stick out in the crowd like he could, like he should have. So maybe we don't do that to him. Maybe we put him in an era that truly allows us to appreciate when he's discovering his powers, we're discovering his powers, when he goes through something and it seems brand new and fantastic, it can be because, you know, the technology now, as you see with the Iron Man suit in the Iron Man movies, it's hard to make Nova look exceptional, but I think it can be done. And I just wanted to take some time here to show these characters and talk a little bit about them. And yes, they're rigged as well. I've showed in every video that I've included bones in these characters, and yes, they all have different positions. And no, I am still not showing any of those positions, but I have showed to this point all the construction of the bones that they possess, and as you can see as I'm moving them on the screen, that's exactly what they can do. It's Some of it's not as well constructed as and detailed as a lot of people who use this program and do animation do. But after learning the basics, I went ahead and I just started diving deep. I mean, talking real hard deep into this, where I wasn't gonna let anything slow me down. And yes, I've, there's subtle little things I could have done better, or went to the next level. And I thought, my mind is racing a lot sometimes with creativity, and I need to get it all out. So I took the liberty of just doing as much that I was inspired to do in a way that I didn't want to concentrate too heavily on any one thing for too long. That may be a downfall or a problem I have to deal with. But I'm sorry, my head explodes if I can't get stuff out of it. So I went ahead and I kept doing as much as that I was motivated to do, and because of that, I have all these characters. And like I said, I have all the different perspectives of them as well, and that was time consuming, and I did it. And I will continue the show in more videos, more characters, talk about more stuff, and then we will, um, as I further share, we will get into my, I don't know how to put it into words, just the journey. I'm going to take you on the journey of what we're doing here, what I'm doing here. Okay, so this is the Ultimate Nova fan signing out for now, and we'll see you in the next video. And thank you for watching.